QPTV Daily Social Live coming on right now. There's my microphone. You're watching QPTV Daily Social Live. I'm your host for today, James. Thanks for watching. If you were checking out yesterday's show, which started early, it ended abruptly because of technical issues. Unfortunately, we could not complete our Community Media Day stream. Not to worry, because we're going to have plenty of Community Media Day, or rather Community Media everyday content. Today's show, and technically every single show, since this is Community Media. But we're going to focus on Community Media today and next week throughout the show. But in case you missed it, you can go back and watch yesterday's Daily Social Live, where we showcase some of the best of QPTV, and we'll continue to do that today and throughout the rest of the month. So look forward to that. Before we continue, I want to remind you of where you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. We're in a few other places, but we're not talking about that today. Maybe we will soon, especially when we're talking about specific items, without getting too specific about what specific items. And not necessarily products, but items. Items you may need to produce something. But that'll be in a future show. Stay tuned. You could also email us directly at media@qptv.org. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please feel free to send them right there. And then, of course, we're on your TV. We're on Spectrum, RCN, and Verizon Files, all in Queens. Only in Queens. So, yesterday was Community Media Day. And for the most part, it was great. And you can go to the page now. Everything's still up there. And frankly, I want to push this to being an everyday thing. Make it every day. Every day you're producing, you're watching, you're participating, you're thinking, you're planning, especially if you're a producer. You're always thinking about the next program and how you're going to make it, who's going to be involved, and all that. So really, especially for us, community media is an everyday thing. So feel free to go there and check that out. because we have a lot of promos and obviously a lot of the content that we covered is stuff you can find all over our website. You can go to qptv.org anytime to see any of that. You can go to communitymediaday.org to find out about everything about Community Media Day. Especially if you're watching this and you happen to work for an access center, or you're a producer, or you're involved with media in somehow. This is the source of the information you can find on Community Media Day. Also, there's toolkits, and you can connect and contact the organizers to participate in next year's Community Media Day and much more. Big thanks. There was a whole segment that we had to sort of, not even had to, the stream cut out, and I was talking for 10 minutes without anything going out, and then I noticed that the stream was not playing. But what I was getting into was something very basic, something very simple but very important. I was just showing, if you're unaware, that QPTV is the access center for Queens. And there are access centers for each borough in New York City. And then outside of that, there are, depending on, your local situation, you may or may not have an access center, and who runs it. It depends on how it was assembled, and franchise agreements is really, really kind of complicated, actually. But it's important that, I think, especially for us, that we know what's going on, because as a New Yorkers, you don't necessarily always live in the same borough your entire life, but you would have the opportunity either way to potentially participate in these other centers. So there's a BRIC, and their access arm is Brooklyn Free Speech TV. They're formerly known as BCAT. I remember growing up watching them. They were BCAT. And like all the New York access centers, an amazing center. Amazing content, amazing producers, amazing facilities. It's all great stuff. Then there's also our other neighbors, BronxNet. Again, just amazing content, and staff and producer base, and then our other neighbors. We have, of course, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Like the rest of the access centers in New York City, another world-class access center. Amazing facilities, award-winning content. And then, of course, we have Staten Island Community Television, or CTV. And as you can see in that picture, I mean, it's a lot like the other access centers. It's a really, these places are really well thought out, and they're extremely deliberate in making it accessible but also professional, so that you're not just producing with basic consumer equipment. There's a lot of thought and energy being put into giving you control of, amazing equipment. And that's what community media, public access is all about, is being able to put these tools in your hands and making it extremely affordable, if not free. We were supposed to talk with Rosalind Nieves yesterday about what's going on at QPTV, but we were able to do that today. And I want to bring a little bit of that to you. We had a lengthy conversation, so I won't be able to bring you all the segments here today, but I'm going to begin here today. And it's a great interview because we're covering so much. And I want to thank her again, and Joe and the rest of the staff that's been involved in everything that's been going on with outreach and, you know, the streams and working with these organizations. It's been fantastic. It really shows how resilient not only QP but the other not-for-profit organizations we work with are, that they've been able to hang in there and keep going and even push out new ideas and concepts. It's been an amazing thing to see. So we're happy that you can witness that with us as well. What we're going to do now is start that interview a little bit, and we will cut off soon because we need to take another break, and then we'll come back to that, and then we'll see if we have enough time for even more. So let's take a look. Hey, and we're back with QPTV Daily Social Live. And today we have Rosalind Nieves of QPTV. She's QPTV's Community Development Manager. She's also a host and producer. And like many of us at QP, she wears many, many hats. She's not wearing one today. It's invisible, but we're happy to talk to her. Roz, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, James. I'm so glad and thankful that you have this platform so that we can share all this information with our viewers. Do you agree, of course?
Of course. I'm beyond agree. I'm happy to be a part of it.
So yesterday you were talking about so many different services that QPTV has for Community Media Day. And when you think of community television, what do you think of, James?
I think of people. I think of people gathering and sort of not just in the sense of regular television or typical television where you're there to produce something and it's a job for somebody. I feel like the community media and community television is really about the people that you're affecting and the people that you're dealing with. So even if you're an individual and you have an idea you want to get out there, it really is I think when it comes down to it, it's more about how you are interacting with your community. Even if it's, I want to make a show that's silly about movies or something, who's watching that show? It's the people in the community, and generally it's your friends and family and other people with like-minded tastes, and it's all about community, because once you get that following, or you build that that thing, that project,
yes,
people are attracted to that enthusiasm, I think, and they become fans as well. Yeah, exactly.
And they gravitate towards you, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm on the same page. When I think of community access television, I think of do-it-yourself TV, where the average person, the regular person excels, and they're not average because everyone's able to do this, especially with all the new technology. Young people that are as young as 5 years old are editing videos and producing videos to people who are in their 90s. And we see all that type of content on Queens Public Television and in public access in general.
Right.
It gives everyone their voice to talk about anything that they want to talk about. If you want to talk about something spiritual, you can. You want to have a medical show, you can. If you want to talk about politics, you can. What are some of the other type of shows that you see on QPTV where people are just raving about, what's happening on public access?
I think people really like seeing themselves, whether it's literally themselves or it's their neighborhood street they grew up on, the place they used to go to, their school. I think things like that. I think when people see things that are connected to, even if it's tangentially, there's something there. Like that there's something that people can gravitate to when the content is sort of a local thing, and it's based around the community. I think those type of programs, the programs that are focused on like, well, this is where we go to get our local coffee, or this is where we go when we want to get this, or this is where people congregate, or this is what it looks like in Corona at sunset, things like that, things that are very unique and specific, where I think most times you might think that you want to be more broad, you're trying to reach a bigger audience. I think people can relate to very personal stories. I think that's key to a lot of the content that is extremely popular, is that they are hyper local, that they focus on things that someone outside of your town might not understand, much less someone else in the city. It might be a Fresh Meadows thing that you're talking about, and only people from Fresh Meadows get it.
Right. No, I agree that it's sort of catered toward the neighborhood. Your hyper local content catered towards the neighborhood. It could be a concert that's going on where somebody wants to go and cover a concert, or something at the beach. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So the beauty of public access is also, if you want to learn how to produce television content, that Queens Public Television and your local access centers, they host different workshops, training workshops. And tell us about some of the workshops that you've hosted, James, for QPTV.
Well, I've hosted, so since the pandemic started, I think a lot of people, not just us in the world of community media and access, I think a lot of people have had to shift to using remote video. And with that, initially, I think people were understanding if you didn't have a good camera, or your mic, your audio wasn't that great, or so on and so forth. I think over time, people have educated themselves, and while I think there's a small percentage of the population who really are on top of things, I think the rest of us are kind of just like, we need help. So what I've done recently, or actually was it a year ago, and we're preparing some new ones, we put together a Creating Content in the New Normal workshop, which essentially it explains the different tools and resources and methods that you can use to work remotely, to create content, to produce programs, and to promote programs. And of course, everything is sort of taught or instructed to follow the QPTV way. So we're looking ultimately to obviously, we want to take your content and showcase it on QPTV. I mean, that's what, if we're helping to facilitate, that's one of the things. It really adds this layer of credibility to people who are just getting into this. So the workshops are a major benefit to people. We're doing them remotely, and it's a really good help to people who have sort of dip their toe in the water of creating digital media. This sort of helps push them in further,
Definitely. And QPTV just recently facilitated another type of workshop. It was a hybrid editing virtual workshop, actually, and that was done with the collaboration of the Fund for Public Housing, the YMCA, and QPTV. So, James, that's another way of kind of like just pivoting during COVID to make sure that we're still able to bring a training workshop to the community.
Absolutely. Roz, since you mentioned that, I wanted to ask, what were some of the, we're going to stop there for now. We get deeper into it. I unfortunately didn't have enough time to bring you some really good stuff today, but that was good too. But there's a lot more where that's coming from, and I can't wait to bring you the rest. We'll have more of that tomorrow and next week, of course. So we'll be talking about community media for as long as the show is on. That's going to be an everyday thing. Make community media every day. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to pick up a camera and shoot a program. Keep it in your thoughts, because that's where it all begins. The germ of an idea sets the whole thing free. So make sure you go to qptv.org/CMD to find out everything you need to know about Community Media Day. So it's yesterday. We're going to quiz you. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to continue. We're going to continue this idea of bringing this awareness to community media every single day on this show and at QP. So please do that. Go to qptv.org. Sign up for our newsletter also. That way, when we dive deeper into community media every day, you'll be one of the first to know. Let's, one more time, we'll talk about social media, where you can find us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. Now, if you go onto any of those platforms and you search for QPTV, Queens Public Television, you'll be certain to find us. And you could also email us directly, media@qptv.org. You can send us your questions, comments, suggestions. Send us your thoughts. It's as simple as that. Don't forget to save. I promised months ago. I promised months ago that we would do a tutorial on saving favorites to your remote control. I'm not going to break that promise. I just have to get that together. There's a bunch of reasons why it's difficult to put together. You think it's really simple. You just take a remote. But no, there's a lot of things involved with something like that. So when I do get that together, I promise I will bring it to you. But what you want to do is, if you can't program your remote, take a picture, take a snapshot, write it down. But you can find us at the lineup on these cable carriers: Spectrum, RCN, Verizon Fios. The lineup is there on the screen. Or you can go to qptv.org/guide anytime to find out what's happening on the channel. It's really great to have QPTV's Daily Social Live back on the stream. Summer was great, and it's still a bit warm, which is nice for now. But before it gets cold, and we'll be bringing you those alerts for winter weather, you should enjoy it as it is now. There's lots of parks in Queens to enjoy, and at any time you can pick up your phone or your tablet, go to qptv.org, sit back, relax, and enjoy any of QPTV's original programs, especially the ones we've been showcasing the last few days. And if you have any difficulty finding that, all you have to do is go to qptv.org, and it's all there on demand. We have the Queensborough President's Town Hall at York College from a couple days ago. You can watch that program in its entirety. We have the virtual town hall with Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. If you happen to miss the 9/11 tribute at Fort Totten, that's available. We also have a flashback interview with Rosa Nieves with now Governor Catherine Hochul. This is when she was lieutenant, obviously. We have the QPAC Live, the Doo-Wop Project, amazing music, Queen's Perspectives. We have live simulcasts other town halls, mayoral forums, conversations with Dr. Chakshi. It's amazing. Just there's so much content. This is just from the last couple weeks. You got to stay tuned. Sign up for the mailing list. Follow, like, subscribe. There's so much that you would be missing if you don't. There's the camera. There'd be so much you'd be missing if you don't. And that's it for today. Again, go to qptv.org/cmd to check out all the Community Media Day goodness. Go to our homepage. You can check out our overall excellence video, as well as all the most recent content we've had on the site. It's been fun. Come back on our next show, and we'll be bringing you more of what we have, what QPTV has to bring to you on QPTV Daily Social Live. Another thing we're still working on is getting those credits done, as well as the intro. But in the meantime, that's it. See you next time.